Hello, and welcome to Sports HK. Today we are interviewing three-time Olympic gold medalist Kushi Luthra, a runner for the Hong Kong Olympic team. Kushi was born for running. She has natural athleticism, strong thighs, and long legs. In this interview, we'll be discussing how she stays in shape and the controversy behind altitude training. Quite a few of her fellow teammates have been suspended for blood doping, and the WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Association, is now putting together tighter restrictions on what is allowed and what is not. One of the controversial practices up for discussion is altitude or hypoxia training. Hello, Kushi. How have you been doing?
Hi, Meredith. I've been doing well. I actually just came back from a world qualifying race in Rio, and in 2 weeks I'm going to be heading up to Colorado to train for another race I have coming up.
Wow. With all these races very close together, how do you keep in competitive shape? You don't have much time before your next race, so what do you do in these few weeks coming up to your race to try and improve yourself?
Well, Meredith, like many other athletes, I actually participate in altitude training. It is the most efficient way to train, and for a runner, it is very important. Altitude training will boost your oxygen capacity, VO2 max, and your endurance.
How does it do that? What is the science behind this altitude training?
When you're exposed to high altitude levels and thinner air, it stimulates your kidneys to make more of a hormone called erythropoietin, which is also known as EPO. This hormone increases the production of red blood cells. And with more red blood cells, you have more hemoglobin, and your oxygen carrying capacity improves, which means your VO2 max and endurance at sea level will also increase as you're getting more oxygen in your body.
So how do you train in high altitudes? Do you just fly somewhere that's really high and live on a mountain for a few weeks?
No, actually, we don't live in high altitude all the time. I usually go to Colorado, where I sleep and eat at a facility high up in the mountains. But when we train, we go down to lower altitudes. We call this live high, train low. We do this because even though high altitudes help increase the oxygen carrying capacity, it makes it harder to breathe and work out properly. So by training at lower altitudes, we can push ourselves and have the best possible workout while still getting the benefits of altitude acclimatization.
As someone who uses altitude training, what do you think about this controversy about it, and what do you think the WADA will do?
I don't think the WADA will ban it, because I think that altitude training isn't cheating, it's just a smart application of science.
Why do you think that?
Well, first, altitude training isn't a type of drug you inject yourself with like other illegal doping substances. We aren't taking the easy way out. Instead, altitude training is just an efficient way of training that increases your red blood cells. You can't just live in high altitudes and think that you're going to turn into an Olympic athlete. With altitude training, you need to still train hard, but it just makes it more efficient. Secondly, altitude training is something natural that helps level the playing field. Just by living in a certain area, you will have an advantage that others won't have. If you consider altitude training illegal, then what you're going to do with athletes who already live in high altitude areas like Ethiopia and Kenya, that will make it even more unfair. Instead, using the natural training facility that Earth has given us in order to naturally stimulate our body to produce more EPO and red blood cells to increase our oxygen carrying capacity. Lastly, almost all athletes use altitude training now. This shows that it can be effective, but also the fact that it is becoming the norm. With the invention of elevation masks and altitude sleeping tents, almost everyone can have access to it. If you ban this type of technology, that is no different than a runner who sits in a sauna to get used to the heat, or a weight training facility.
Wow, that is a very powerful statement. Thank you so much for expressing your views on this topic, and good luck in your upcoming race.
Thank you so much. Of course. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.